Welcome back to the Robezoid channel. I'm your host Mark and welcome to your Taking a Test Drive Thursdays. Today we're taking a test drive on a mint-based fragrance from the brand of Carolina Herrera. This one is part of the confidential line called Virgin Mint. This is my very first bottle of this Herrera line. You can see there's others here, but this was my first buy back in 2019. This one was part of the Eau de Toilette line, which have these longer bottles versus the shorter, fatter original line. Now, this line, the Eau de Toilette line, which was fresher fragrances, actually had a revamp of sort, and they are housed in bottles like these now, which means these longer bottles were basically discontinued. So a lot of discounters got these Eau de Toilettes for really cheap. And I still see a bunch on discounters. So if you're interested in this line, definitely get your hands on the Eau de Toilette line, because some of them I feel personally, and again, I don't have a Herrera rep in my back pocket, but these are very hard to find here in Canada, almost impossible. Same as in the States. You have to go to certain boutiques and yeah, you can hardly sample this and things like that. So these videos I absolutely love making because I'm helping a lot of you. Now, the Eau de Toilette line included a rose one, a bergamot, a vetiver, an orange, and a jasmine counterpart, obviously with the mints. Now, while making this review, I noticed, first of all, I was like, oh, that's why they were all at discounters, because they rebottled them into these ones. Some of them got rebottled. I could not find the rebottled, I believe was it the bergamot? No, I think it was the orange. I think it was the bergamot. I'm trying to remember. The bergamot, I could not find the rebottled, and the mint, sadly. And I mean sadly, because you're going to see throughout this review that you're going to be in my sadness too. So I don't know if they got discontinued with the new rebottling, or they have so much stock that they're just waiting to rebottle this thing. I don't know. But it's scarce. It's hard to find. And this one is a gem. But this line is really good. Definitely. Not an upper echelon line, not like on a Frederick Mall kind of, you know, oh, these are masterpieces. They're very pleasant, much better than the regular Herrera lines like the CH Men and the 212. Oh my God, no, that's not even, like, this is actually a really good designer line per se. Not a high-end line. I think it's okay in that theme. Like, it's not like Chanel's or Dior's or something like that. They're very gourmandish. The themes are very pleasant, so you're going to have a lot of people that love them. Some of them kind of boring, but some of them actually quite excellent, but not fairly unique, if that makes all kinds of sense. So let's go under the hood. Let's take a look at some stats on Virgin Mint. It was released back in 2017. The nose was Nathalie Graciassetto, well-established nose with over 100 fragrances to her resume, so I'm not going to name them off, but there is some studs in there. There's some really good fragrances by Graciassetto, a name that I, you know, once I look at a fragrance and I see her name attached to it, I go, okay. Yeah, you know, you got a pretty good resume. You have my attention. Major notes to my nose. This is true to its name. Spearmint is the primary note in this release. Love it. It is excellent in this fragrance, authentic to the T, the way I like it. And it's paired with geranium. We're gonna do an ode here to Geranium pour Monsieur here by Rapillon. Frederick Mall, one of the best geranium-based releases that has a minty freshness up top. This fragrance is going head-to-head against these two. These are the beasts of the mint game. Geranium pour Monsieur, if you haven't smelt it. Healy's Mount Fresh, if you haven't smelt it. 100% sample them. I will never tell you to blind buy something, but these are the cream of the crop of the mint game. So this is what it goes against. And these things are beasts in the mint game. Like, they are excellent. Like, I mean, if my scale went higher than 10 out of 10, it would be up there. These are cream of the crop. It's very hard to actually match these. So we'll see. Now, Virgin Mint, I'm wearing it right now. It is my scent of the day, but I am going to wear, again, the dent in here, you may or may not see it. It's down to here, and that's not all me. I got this thing split 50% and I get the bottle. So it was around here at this point. This is a dangerous, these type of fragrances that are very light and watery and have really authentic openings, I tend to reapply a lot, and bottles like this don't. I kind of regret splitting it. I should have got a full bottle, to be quite honest, because juice goes quite quickly. But the atomizer is really controlled, like almost beautiful, almost trance-like. This atomizer is awesome. And this cap, oh my God, the power of this cap, it wants to go a certain way and it's not gonna let you go any other way. I think they're trying to put the logo parallel to the logo. So that attention to detail, this cap is heavy. These bottles are heavy. Everything about this screams luxury. Maybe old school luxury. It kind of reminds me of something that came out of the 80s, but either way, really great presentation all throughout with this fragrance. And this top note is a reapplied top note. Like I said, it's invigorating, it's authentic mint. Right off the get-go, this fragrance, first sniff, first application, it tells me it's going against the mint crown. It's going after these two, and that is just a nod to the nose and to the fragrance itself. This is an excellent, fresh, natural mint note that is green, it's herbal, it's vibrant, it's even almost watery at some aspects. It gives the user, it's not as cool and punching as a Mount Fraîche. It's almost going more into the geranium pour monsieur, which is uncanny how much they have some. And again, this is an ode to the nose because the Papillons are genius. The geranium and mint notes here are very uncanny. Not like, this is better built, just being honest, this is better built fragrance as far as step one to the end and everything that's built into it. You're getting a better product here. But this is this is not a fake it till you make it. It's there, it's really good. And it gives you a cool, refreshing vibe, but not a, you know, this fragrance right here, just like hot, humid weather, you can almost, for me personally, I can almost not wear fragrance in very humid weather. This cuts it. It's awesome. It's that thin. This is not as thin as that, but it's close. But there's a cool, refreshing, bright aura to this fragrance. Green like the bottle, yeah, 100%. I almost call it airy in a way, maybe even cool minty, because it does bring out everything I want from a mint note, like everything. And that's where you go against the pretenders versus the real mints, and this is in that package. It definitely is a great mint note. Now, this fragrance is not all about mint, but it is. This All-Star Mint is paired straight away with a mishmash of citruses, and it really does help the invigorating piece of this release in the opening, which is really quite unique. You don't see many citruses paired with a mint. Most noses really want the mint to be emphasized in the top note. It is a note that doesn't stick around. It really occupies most of the top, and you need the top not to be too busy, because if you're going to call it mint something something, you better have mint in the opening. And if you start pushing some citruses in here, the citruses tend to almost overshadow mint. And in this particular release, it's close. It's at that point that you're just like I don't know, but I really like the addition of citruses because of the uniqueness of it. So yeah, so for that, does it disrupt the mint notes overall? Yes, it does. It really does in the opening. Like, I think this mint is absolutely outstanding. And if it wasn't, and I hate saying disturb it, but if the citruses weren't there, you would, maybe a lot of noses, you know, they would look at this mint note in a different fashion. The citruses could ruin it for someone. You really want your mint to be straightforward mint up top. So this is a battle for your nose. Now, is it bright and uplifting? Yes, of course. Bergamot here is authentic. It's beautiful. It almost gives off like a lime kind of citrus to the fragrance. It really is actually quite nice. The mandarin here gives off a sweeter dimension to the release, to the mint, so it does give out that sweetness. The mandarin sticks a little longer than the bergamot. I noticed that the bergamot burns off quite quickly, and then you're stuck with a mint and mandarin mid. This part makes not only virgin mint rather unique, but also can turn some mint purist off, as they rather have uninterrupted mint, and I see why. For my nose, it makes it a different piece in my collection. I have so many straightforward mints that I actually don't mind this, yeah, don't get me wrong, the mint is central here. The citruses are almost backing it, but they do take some of the spotlight away from that minty goodness, because it's really, really good. You almost want it to be just alone for a bit before the geranium steps in, and the vetiver and the musk and all that. But yeah, that introduction, unique in a way because of the citruses, and well blended. You have to give them props for that. Now, once that initial hit burns off, so we get more into the mid, the bergamot's gone. Now it's the mint and the mandarin that kind of play around a little bit in the introduction before the geranium steps into place. Now, before the geranium does hit you, you do get a little orange minty Tic Tac vibe. So keep that in mind. I got that a little bit during this testing. I'm like, this reminds me of something in my life that I've smelt before, and I don't like orange Tic Tacs. It's probably the worst one. Sorry, I don't want to offend, but orange and mint, I don't know. I don't see it. But in scent profile, it reminded me of that. It didn't really turn me off of the scent, to be quite honest, but it does remind me of that, and I finally found out what it was. Now the geranium hits you now. Geranium, of course, if you didn't know, does give off minty vibes, and obviously there's your reference point right here. But yeah, it obviously helps that, and it's a really excellent geranium note in this release. And as many as you know, geranium can give off that minty vibe, like you smell in Geranium pour Monsieur by Mal. The geranium is a high secondary note to a primary note here in the mid to the back end of the release. The geranium also gives off greenness. It gives off earthiness. It can give you a rose-like quality as a floral, and almost a vegetal piece here in the back end a little bit, where of course the vetiver comes into play as well. So you have geranium and vetiver coming in, green notes. The vetiver is green, it's rooty, but it's fairly clean as the rootiness goes, but it does help out this whole earthy vibe. It really helps out the mint to be more of an herbal mint than anything. You almost went into, orange Tic Tac, it's going to be like almost like a, like a breath mint or toothpaste vibe that some people get, and you may get that with this orange mint thing, but this really helps that herbal quality of the mint. Absolutely outstanding. I like the transition here, yeah, the vetiver is definitely not central in this release, but it does play its part, and it just gives depth to the release that actually really does need depth. This is a very thin fragrance, and you're going to see that in performance wise that it lacks a little bit because of the lack of depth here. Now, talking about the back end of this release, there is a slight white musk backing the whole thing from start to finish. I felt that white musk going through the veins of this release with the mint. Surprisingly, the mint stuck around for a long time, which is a bonus point to this release. Now, this release doesn't last very long on your skin, but at the same time, the mint hung on, and a good trick to that is utilizing geranium in your release. So overall, got a solid minty based fragrance, very well blended. You got to give the nose credit. It goes right up there in my top 10 mint based scents of all time, which is getting harder and harder to get into. Some of these lists, like the more I collect, the more I get, the more standout fragrances I get. It's hard for these fragrances to get into these lists, and yeah, it might be a list that I should start publishing and just kind of update them through the years, but I congratulate it for that. It is a standout mint release. It's something that doesn't get any spotlight. Like I I even went on YouTube just to see who's talking about this stuff. Nobody's talking about virgin mint at all. And I understand price, availability, all that good stuff. It's hard to find. But for a fragrance that is such a... And Mount Fresh doesn't even get any. Like even Geranium pour Monsieur doesn't get much love. Only a certain few, really talk about. This one gets the most love out of all of these. This one's criminally underrated. Like the brand is so... James Healy, so underrated. They have the best aquatic in the game. At least to my nose, Sel Marin, the best. And I hate aquatics, but that one is a standout. I wear it all the time. This one, they got the best mint in the game. He's got a few more that I own too, but what a brand. But Herrera, going back to this and this mint here, it's not a Mount Fresh, it's not a Geranium Monsieur. It's almost like in the middle of both of these and a little less quality, like one tier down, which isn't a bad thing. Like I'm not poo-pooing on this one. It's one tier down from those two, which is high praise for this release, because Herrera, and I don't mean this line, but like I mean, 212 Men, CH Men, Privé and all that stuff. Herrera's men's line hasn't even sniffed the top 20 on my list for years. They are, pardon my French, junk as a men's signature lines. They're not very good. This line is near that. They have some interesting pieces here and there, and they have some good ones here. I can't wait to talk more about these, but this one, going back to this will sniff a top 20 spring summer list. It will eventually. It hasn't yet because the new fragrance to my stable, but it will. And I have to start making those lists again. That too, that helps. So let's get into seasons, day, night, versatility, and performance. A season, summer and spring. It's not just confined to those, but just the lack of performance on this, in which we're going to talk about, that I've said like 4 times now in this review, so and the thinness. It hurts it. Now, if you live in a warmer climate, this might be a signature scent for you. Honestly, this is that good. Day or night, I feel like this is more of a daytime scent. I like something with more personality in the back end at night. But again, if you're in a warmer climate and it's super warm, I have no issues wearing this at night. It does have a little bit of that pop, that mint that I like. Not everybody else is wearing mints around you, most likely. Versatility, very high, very good. There's not much to it, so there's not much to really deny in this release. As far as performance goes, finally, we're hitting it. Performance, it's lacking. It's 3 to 6 hours on a good day. And I've been testing it in the middle of this Canadian winter here. Again, I've been testing it at home here, so it's climate controlled. So there is some control in regards to performance. But going outside, yeah, nobody can smell me on this thing. Projection is fairly average. It has that initial hit. I would say after 2 hours, this thing's more of a skin scent. So people have to come close to you, hug you, and then they can smell you. But yeah, my final thoughts on Virgin Mint. Interesting name. Hopefully they didn't discontinue it, but I don't see it in a new bottle, which is kind of concerning. And my bottle's kind of getting low. Might be time to just go to... I know they still have this at discounters for really cheap, so I may grab a full bottle of this, because it is in my... I'm saying top 10 mints. It could be top 5 mints of all time. I would have to think about it, but it's right there. So my final thoughts are it's a great smelling, quality's there, release. There's others in the mint game in that same price range that you really should sniff. If you haven't sniffed these, what have you been doing? But again, that's not to criticize this release. This is right in the smack dab of the talks of some of the best. Now, it doesn't hold a candle to these. And I'm just being honest, like the gap is pretty big in regards to this versus this, but from this to something else, there's a gap. So that's where this plays. It's possibly top 5 in my collection. So it's one of the best in the mint game. That's pretty much how to settle it. That's it. So now that you heard my take, I'd love to hear your take on Virgin Mint. I'm sure all 2 of you will tell me what you think about it, the ones that have smelt this. There's probably nobody. Sorry. It sucks. Such a great scent that not too many noses are getting, especially in our fragrance community. We should get the word out more on this release. It's a great one. That's all I gotta say. So, as always, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your mint-based fragrance very wisely. Have a good one, YouTube. See you later.